So after we moved in, there were some things in the bathroom that jumped up as immediate needs, and we got a lot of that stuff fixed right away. Plumbing items that were leaking, P-traps under sinks, showers, tubs. That was the first thing that we took care of, and that was what it had to be done.
Carpeting, skylight, pour lighting.
Custom light fixture vanity over the sinks. Jacuzzi tub in the middle.
Bring, bring.
Hello?
80's called.
They want their carpeting back. Carpeting in the bathroom.
Not a good idea. If anyone invents a time machine to go back in time, please contact the contractors that came up with the idea of carpeting in bathroom. Not a good idea.
Since we weren't going to do a complete redo like we had planned, we did want to at least do some of the small, cheap stuff. So we were trying to get as cheaply as possible to do a complete carpet rip out and redo. The first thing that I came up with was vinyl tiles. Basically, it's a 12 by 12 tile, self-stick. You just pull the old stuff up, stick it right down to the OSB.
If you're thinking about doing this, don't.
Just don't. For one thing, getting them lined up with each other is just darn near impossible. They also don't stick very well. So you probably will need to use something like a 3M77 adhesive in addition to what's built in for them to really stick. And it just real quickly became a nightmare, and after placing a few of them down under the toilet, we just stopped and pulled them up and basically went to a new game plan.
We took a trip back to Lowe's and found this vinyl. It wasn't the very cheapest vinyl, but it wasn't the most expensive either. And because of the way our bathroom's laid out, we contracted out through Lowe's someone to come in and lay it down for us.
One of the things that we wanted to do one way or the other was to get rid of this little built-in vanity mirror section. So this was there were two 45s and a mirror on the back as well, and we went ahead and just removed these. There were also some overhead can lights. Those were pulled out as well. Actually went all the way down, so there was actually a 45 that went all the way from the ceiling down to the floor. So the part down to the floor, we pulled that out as well. The way that was built, it was just a 2x2 lumber with sheetrock on top that was built into the wall that was already existing. So I was able to pull that out without really making too much of an ugly thing behind it. So for now, until we can do a complete redo in the future, I think this is a good workaround.
It was a compromise.
So the carpeting also went up around the tub. Once we pulled that carpeting away from the tub, it was a little bit louder when you actually use the jacuzzi tub. Just deal with that, and since we're going to be redoing everything later, I'm not going to worry about trying to do any soundproofing. But we basically went to Lowe's or Home Depot, picked up a 4x8 sheet of paneling that you would use on a wall that was gray. Just cut in and basically replaced the panels that the carpet had been stapled into. It looks a lot better, still kind of a workaround, but it's better than what we had. There was no evidence of any leaks in the bathroom. However, when we pulled the toilet up, the carpet and the OSB underneath were wet. The gasket was probably worn out, or just the fact that it was sitting on top of a carpet and it just couldn't seat very well. So long story short, we got lucky that we pushed ourselves to do this. Otherwise, it would have gotten a lot worse. The OSB had already started to swell a little bit. It was salvageable. We didn't have to cut anything out and do any repairs, but it was getting too close to that point. We did go ahead and redo the plumbing and all here as well. The gray pipe that was in here, the poly, you can't really buy that anywhere that I know of. So we did a conversion over to PEX while I was in there.
When we were putting back the toilet, we were going to purchase a new toilet. However, we discovered the miracle that is the Pumice Stone. If you have never used one of these, what are you waiting for? Get out to Lowe's and buy one.
Yeah, long story short, porcelain has a certain level of scratch, a certain hardness level that it will scratch. Pumice is softer than it is, so it's able to scrape all of the built up scale and all the crustiness off without actually scratching the porcelain itself. Basically, it made it look brand new, and it was like a couple bucks for a Pumice Stone from Lowe's. I mean, it was awesome.
All we needed was a new toilet seat, and bam, we were good to go. I have all of these ocean knickknacks that I've carried with me from house to house, and in this house, there was not a great place to put them. Therefore, I asked my husband to build me some shelves, and he did that by...
It was basically half-inch poplar that was just nailed, glued together into a basic little pattern. Fairly straightforward, simple design, just enough basic shelf. Basically, at this point, the carpet is gone. There's new vinyl that replaced all of the carpeting around the tub and on the floor, new quarter round. The picture frames were not really part of that, but we went ahead and did that just because I wanted to get those mirrors off the wall while we were that deep into the project.
At this point, we decided we needed new mirrors above the vanity. We could have stopped here. Everything's done, but...
So we sort of realized it may be a long time before we ever do a gut and restore in this bathroom, so that it's probably just not going to happen. So we decided to go ahead and start doing some small things. And one of those included getting rid of this ugly light shelf on top. We decided, okay, let's go ahead and go down the rabbit hole a little bit and let's make it better.
Originally, I was going to try to clean it and paint it, and that's what I was in the process of doing when he said, let's just go buy new lights.
It was a good idea.
But first, demolition.
Once we started pulling off the face boards and the molding, really it was just ugly 2x4 lumber pushed together. Nothing was 45 and flat. They just kind of got it as close as it needed to be, shoved in screws. Then they kind of covered it up with molding and called it done. As we got the 2x4s pulled off the front, there was eventually finally just one left on the wall, 2 fluorescent light fixtures. So basically we pulled those off as well, and that's where it got a little bit fun because of the way the wiring was set up.
See the crowbar on the counter?
So yeah, the wires came out pretty close to the top. You can't really patch this kind of sheetrock that comes in these places. It's a sheetrock covered with vinyl, so there's no real easy replacements. So I basically wanted to cut the hole in place of where the old holes were for the wiring. So to put a box in, which we needed to do, I kind of had to go a little bit high. As you see in some of the later photos, this caused me to have to go into the crown molding. Later in the future, when we do a complete redo and redo the sheetrock in here, then we'll also go through and bring them a little bit lower down as well. But for now, that's basically what we did.
Dream lights. These are my dream lights. I had them in my first house.
And the second house?
I had them in the second house, and it was my dream to put them in my ocean theme bathroom, as ugly as it is, for this home.
So long story short, the stuff coming out of China just isn't as good as it used to be, which I know that sounds funny saying, it's really never been good. But the first lights we bought were pretty good quality. Second, the same way. This set, the fixtures were not straight. They weren't necessarily centered underneath the wave. They were at angles. The way they were put together, you couldn't bend them into shape.
They were cockeyed.
Yeah, it was badly odd. We actually tried, I actually installed it to see if, okay, maybe we can just deal with it. But it was, as OCD as we are, it was so obvious we just couldn't stand looking at it every time we looked at it. So we had to pull those out and basically reevaluate and go with plan B.
We went back to Lowe's to find this.
Similar design, so it was about as close as we could get. These were also the kind where the fixture and the globes were sold separately, so we were able to kind of pick and choose to get as close to what we liked as, and that's how we were able to do it this way and get fairly similar to what we had, but not exactly.
Not exactly at all.
Yeah, I did as good as I could.
I know.
And it's just a close-up of what those globes looked like. This pattern doesn't really match anything else in the house, but it was a little bit similar, so we just kind of went with the closest thing we could get. Eventually, if we do a complete redo, we'll probably try to get matching fixtures throughout the house anyway, so we'll cross that bridge later.
Here's a close-up of the new lights and the new mirror. 1,000% prettier than what it was.
It at least looks like it's from the 90s, not the 80s. So this ceiling fan,
There are so many things that we could say about this ceiling fan.
if you look at this picture, you'll notice one of the blades is on backwards. It only had a single light. It was only about 36 inches. It made the motor just hummed when it was spinning. It didn't really move any air. It kind of just sucked. So part of the project that you'll get some additional insights into later is all the ceiling fans in the house were also either original with the house or very not our style. So we're replacing them all anyway. That included one in the dining room, but the dining room fan was actually a nice Hunter fan, fairly new, not a bad design, and it just so happened that it actually kind of matched the beach themed room. It was a white fan, nice frosted globes, had 3 bulbs, was a bigger fan. So we actually wound up moving that one to the bathroom instead of just buying one for the bathroom. So free fan, moves a lot more air, puts out a lot more light, sounds a lot better, just win-win-win all across.
Another overview of the room. Ta-da!
So this is more close to what it looks like now. This is basically after the floor was ripped out, after all those mirrors were pulled out, once that overhead thing was replaced. It's fairly close to looking like this right now. It's much better than it was when we first moved in. Like I said, additional things have happened. That skylight's now gone. We've changed out some fixtures, so we'll try to show some more of that stuff later on. A lot of old stuff is gone, a lot of new stuff is in. So it at least looks like it's from a new century than the 80s.
It looks like an entirely different bathroom, except it's got that same old ugly yellow jacuzzi tub.
Which, as you saw in a different video, we almost had a replacement. But that one was not a center tub. It wasn't a drop-in. It was a wall mount.
If you want to see that, suggested videos. One feature that every couple loves in their bathroom is a waterfall feature. What's that? You don't want a waterfall feature when it's coming through your roof?
So one thing you'll see in the picture is there used to be a speaker system through the house. We were getting rid of it anyway, but a monsoon leak in the bathroom sort of sped that up. So the speaker's now gone as well.
Hurricane. It was a hurricane.
I don't even think it was a hurricane. I think it was the storms before the hurricane.
No, I think it was a hurricane.
I think it was the hurricane. Yeah, we're inland, but yeah, we still get the tropical rains from those. So yeah, that was fun.
A hurricane's a coming. A hurricane's a coming.
One additional thing on the list is currently the bathroom has double doors, and while yeah it's nice, you open it up, it gives the bedroom a big feeling. Really for us it's kind of wasted space, so we plan on getting rid of the 2 doors and going down to just a single door, and maybe using that space to enlarge the shower that's on one side of that. Future plans, again, part of a total redo for later. Probably nothing's going to happen anytime soon.
We do have a door that's sitting in the bathroom currently that's waiting to go on the closet, and we have revamped the closet, and we will show you that in a future video.
Stay tuned. And there you have it. That's the basic walkthrough of what the bathroom looked like when we first moved in and what it looks like now. Long story short, 80s called, they want their bathroom back. Carpet in the bathroom, gone. If you have it, get rid of it. It's just mold, mildew, it's just nasty. Get rid of it.
Guess what? Skylight in the bathroom, gone.
There's no video of that, but long story short, we fixed that leaky roof by installing a brand new roof. That was something I could have done myself over days and days, but no, paid a group. They came in basically in one day. They had the old one off, new one on, done, walk away. Sometimes it's worth the convenience factor to have a group of people do something for you quickly, and for us, that was it. Yeah, skylight's gone. We've also swapped out some fixtures, which there will be a video of that. And
you know, towel bars, toilet paper holder, that sort of thing.
And once that door gets replaced, that'll probably be it in that room for the foreseeable future. Like I say, it's functional, it does what it needs to do. So for now, we're just going to kind of move on, work on other things that are more direly in need, and then come back.
Welcome to Mobile Adventures.
Yeehaw.
Isn't he a blast?
Oh, did you want me to be the one talking?
Aren't you always? Did you do part deux? We were in our dining room. We had. Why am I having issues here? You had a burp again? We can talk about giving it a few seconds so I can burp. And you can see some of my ocean theme.
And what is it about bathrooms and ocean? I mean, why do we all make our bathrooms like the ocean?
Because there's water in it?
I don't know. Think about how many bathrooms you've been in that were ocean themed.
I like the ocean.
I'm down with it too.
All right. Can we have cake by the ocean?
Only if I'm on a boat.
In your flippy floppies?
In my flippy flappies. Okay, camera. So,
therefore, whereinto. Therefore, I didn't use the word so.